But another important matter, the nation's report card was released this week, and the news is not good. It showed that U.S. students had record low reading comprehension scores last year. It's National School Choice Week, and in part of the president's commitment to education, he just left a roundtable in the Roosevelt Room focused on this issue with leaders from across the country. The national report card showed that 70% of 8th graders were below proficient in reading, and 40% of 4th graders did not even meet the basic reading levels. This is completely unacceptable to the president, and he continues to take aggressive actions to address this education problem in our country. He signed an executive order this week prohibiting federal funding of the indoctrination of our children, including radical gender ideology and critical race theory in the classroom. The president believes American education should focus on cultivating patriotic citizens who are ready for the workforce. And this action will help get schools back on track and defend fundamental parental rights in education. The president also signed a school choice executive order expanding educational freedom and opportunity for families. Our education system is failing students in this country. The nation's report card, I brought it up in my remarks last week, it shows that 4th graders are not reading at the level they should. I believe it was 40% of them are proficient in reading. As the mother of a child, I want an education system that helps my child read and write, teaches him math, nothing else in the classroom. And the president is wholeheartedly committed to we can make academia great again.
President Trump is not failing America's children. He is saving America's children with this action that he will take later today, directing Linda McMahon, our great Secretary of Education, to dismantle this federal bureaucracy that has taken more than $3 trillion from the American taxpayer since its inception in 1979. And what have we had as a result of that investment in our children's education? Declining test scores in reading, writing, and math. Proficiency levels at record lows for 8th graders, for 4th graders, at every level in every state across this country. That's why the president is returning education back to the people, to those closest to our students in our classrooms, and that is teachers and educators and parents who know what is best for their children. And we are excited about this event that will be here later in the afternoon at the White House. We will have parents and educators and students and also governors from across the country who are excited to embrace this new responsibility of educating our nation's children. I will add one more point. The Department of Education has never educated a child. All it has ever done is stolen money from the taxpayers for more regulation that has hurt our children's education. And it's about time a president does something about it. And thank God President Trump is.
Karoline, what do you say to critics of the president's education plan?
Where was their criticism of our nation's failing test scores for the last several decades? The Department of Education was founded in the 1970s, and since then we have spent more than $3 trillion at this federal bureaucracy. What has been the return on that investment for the American taxpayer? Levels that are less than ideal, less than proficient. Our children's test scores are incredibly concerning when it comes to reading rates, literacy rates, math, and science test scores. The numbers prove that, and this president is finally taking much needed action to return education to where it belongs, and that's to educators closest to students in their classrooms in their respective states. We're going to have a great event here later at 4 o'clock. There will be students here, teachers here, parents here, educators, and of course governors from around the country who are very excited about taking on this responsibility to educate our nation's students.
Who's going to run federal student loans?
So the Department of Education will be much smaller than it is today. As you know, the president's executive order directed Linda McMahon to greatly minimize the agency. So when it comes to student loans and Pell Grants, those will still be run out of the Department of Education. But we don't need to be spending more than $3 trillion over the course of a few decades on a department that's clearly failing in its initial intention to educate our students.
So is the federal government going to be spending
much
less?
smaller than it is. Is it not going to be shut down completely? And then I have a second question.
As I said, Pell Grants and student loans will still be run out of the department in Washington, D.C., but the great responsibility of educating our nation's students will return to the states.
Donald Trump just basically had a photo op today. He didn't dismantle the Department of Education. It has to be done by an act of Congress. And I know that really bums him out, that there are other branches of government. She's taking notes. Hero's taking notes. It's going to be bad. But what he's doing is making life really hard for the DOE to operate. And that's going to have a big effect for sure. Randi Weingarten, and I've said many times, I'm not a tremendous fan of hers. What she is making clear in that interview is that the curriculums are actually set on the state level. So when you look at the lowest ranked states for education, least educated places like Arkansas, places like Mississippi, West Virginia, run by Republicans, that's on them for that. That's not on her. She's not setting the curriculum. What the DOE does and why it was created by Jimmy Carter and why probably you can't get Democrats at least to vote to abolish it is that it's a funding and civil rights enforcement organization. And when I hear Republicans out there talking about their plan for education in America, I don't hear them talking about making sure disabled kids have access to a public education. I don't hear them talking about impoverished
because we're against
kids.
it.
I know you are. Thank you for admitting it in such a public forum. They want to end up privatizing it. They want a voucher system, which means that kids who can't get to those schools, don't have enough money to, or frankly want to go to public schools, won't have access. And they also have all of these religious kooks, like the superintendent of Oklahoma who wants to spend millions of dollars on Bibles for the schools, Trump Bibles, because it's all a grift. They want to make it private. They want to make them religious institutions. And that goes against what you're supposed to do in America. So does it need reform? Does it need to be made better? 100%. But come on.
Republicans have been trying to dismantle the public school system for decades, and then they blame things like wokeness and liberalism. We can't have our students learning things. We can't have our populace being prepared to participate in the present and future workforce. No. We got to privatize everything. You know how Republicans do. Essentially all the Republican Party is the springboard for the wealthiest in America, for corporate America. They want to privatize everything. They're trying to privatize Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, anything that people rely on, anything that people can benefit from to even the playing field, to make society more equitable. We're not talking about equal all across the board, which is another attack that they make. Like, you can't make things perfectly equal. No, but we can make them better. We can make them closer to equal. But look, listen, in no way does America benefit from making the populace less educated. We already can barely read. 54% of American adults read at or below a 6th grade level, 5th grade level, something like that. Look at what just happened in the last election. People have absolutely no idea what's going on in this country. We don't know how things function in this country. Republicans just want to go ahead and take that away. Ever since the Department of Education was founded, they've been trying to get rid of it. Bring it back to the states. Like, okay, let's bring everything back to the states and destroy our future so that rich people can get richer.